didn't think we should have done it. It's pretty dirty, my God.
Any concern?
Okay, so I have one roommate. I know other ones. All the guys are weird.
I know.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Realistically, when you're, you don't like how the template's saving now. Maybe then do all your like soft like that, or like the first time you say, and like say you're really like I wouldn't think on it. It's like I don't know, like all this felt like we got like
I think they understand that when you switch to
actually. I remember I got all these rejection letters, and I was like okay, and then Stanford, I got Stanford email. I'm like I'm not even gonna open it. I'll open it when I'm like ready to get it done. And then like
so what they're really looking for is someone who's just really good like
I think it was like if you were really at like certain
started thinking about
what are you guys interested in? Like high school or
are you in any groups now? Any
Just the parents group.
Usually kids nowadays.
like scholarship websites, scholarship website, financial aid website.
What you guys thuộc thời cho nên về tàu mình đã stepping
And he
stone now.
mentioned about the website that Dan talked about that website that
Yeah. That website that our
research.
And also earlier you guys mentioned about like dance, sophomore and junior. What about senior?
Oh, for the research program we're doing?
Yes.
Yes. So we said that it wouldn't be really ideal for senior high school students because our program is in April of the year. So then seniors would already probably be done with their college application process.
So that's too late to apply.
Yeah, because the college application process for high school students, it starts in the fall of their senior year. So in like August and September, the applications start opening, and then they all start closing in January, February, maybe even as early as the beginning of the summer. Yeah, but definitely for the financial aid.
Yeah, the research apply scholarship ហើយនៅ high school ចឹងយើងចាប់ផ្ដើម apply មកពីថ្ងៃណាទៅ like is it sophomore year or senior year, what is the best to start with study for SAT test junior year, senior year, because it's a time frame like you guys experience. I know you mentioned it to them already, but I'm probably how long does it take you to study to prep for a test and take SAT test in general and then designate one summer or spread into monthly or whatever? You guys schedule your time, right? Time management. Very good this one.
Yeah, do you offer like, let's say you come to a workshop maybe once a year, and some students, even parents who may have questions later on, do you open like some kind of connection, like, you know, as an organization, so hey, each parent have this question and you keep like a liaison type of assistant kind of thing, right? Would you offer something like that?
I think, so we do have our email account that's specifically for our Stanford Khmer Association that we all access. I think if anyone has any questions specifically about anything, they can email to that and we will respond back whenever we have time. We're also thinking for the high school outreach program that we're hosting in April, whatever resources we have that we provide to the participants that end up going, we'll also put on like a Google Drive that will have like accessible to like the public. So even people or students that didn't get into the program or are attending the program can still access like the PowerPoints that we show. This is where the website to go or things like that. So that's how we. I think we're trying to address the issue of the fact that it's like a limited number of participants that we're trying to take.
Yeah, I want to ask also that when you were in high school, at what grade do you start thinking about college as your next step? And then you start to go forward.
អាប៉ាក៏ខំគិតខ្លួនឯង
It is a culture in the family too, right? But it has to be on your own in order to move forward.
So I was lucky. Both my parents went to college, and so they knew at a young age like you have to prepare early. I think maybe at the beginning of high school I started in the back of my mind thinking, okay, this is important now. Like I have to start thinking about how I'm going to prepare for the next step. So it was pretty early, I think.
I think for me, neither of my parents went to college, so it's kind of like opposite. They didn't really provide me too much guidance, besides the fact that like pushing me to go to college or do better in academics for myself. So I really had to push myself. I think definitely maybe freshman, sophomore year I started thinking about it. I was like, maybe I should really do really well in my classes in high school so that I can apply to college. But I think it was a lot of, for me, it was a lot of like self determination and like
my time to learn my own struggle. So you are the best example. It doesn't mean you're not the best. Just like opposite experience. A program that you guys gonna start. This is the first time to every community, right? So you guys plan up there like George Nam, sign, you know, like once a year or like. ឆ្នាំក្រោយមាន program នេះទៀតឬក៏អត់
Start how this one
No, I mean it's a lot of Khmer, right? They talk about this one. But I don't think
I guess we could because, but it's kind of like a long way.
Yeah,
for
it's
like
a long
year
way.
later.
Yeah. April. Yeah. I mean, no. This one is already started, but
for April, right?
It's like this. It's when they have time. It's when we have time, right? And look at this time. You come to January, it's February. The application process. It's April. It's actually a whole thing, right? It's like a few months
New
already.
Year, so we just too much. Yeah.
So what follow-on question? How many of the participants today, panelists, have the parent or have college degree or college education? Because I want to ask, I think you guys are very smart. Besides going through the high school curriculums, do you have like other preparation like private tutoring or some special after-school program that helps you academically in that regard?
So the first part of your question, I don't know how many of the other students had parents who went to college.
Yeah.
I think Keanu and Daniel's parents. I don't know if they went to college. In terms of private, I didn't have any private tutoring. But I mean, I was very lucky. So I went to a good school, and I was friends with a lot of people who had a private tutor.
I guess for me, I didn't have any like private tutoring, just because like we couldn't afford it financially. I would try to use like free resources or just like study my own. Use resources that I have available. Go to like stay after school, talk to teachers, get additional tutoring from teachers. For SAT, ACT, I would like similar to Daniel, I would like buy like practice books for like $20 and just do practice.
Yeah.
So in terms of choosing which college to go, how much do you know about colleges when you apply them? For example, now you've been in Stanford for a few years, you say, oh yeah, this is very good school, glad to apply here. But the number of colleges that you apply, how much do you know about a particular school, like either the history of that school or the background of that school?
I didn't know too much about the colleges I applied to. You can look at the numbers. You can say, I want a big school, I want a small school, and you can say, okay, this is a school that's good fit with them. You can say, I want a school near a city, like depending on what kind of environment you want to live into. But in terms of like what the students are like there, what the professors are like, what the culture is like, I didn't know about that at all.
When I want to apply to a school that you apply like 4 or 5 schools, do you have in your minds like, okay, I want to major in this field? So I search for those to good school that they really good in that field. Did you guys think about it like that, or just apply to any
For me, I thought like I knew that I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in, and I said I looked at schools that were good in a lot of different areas, and Stanford definitely one of them. Like, you know, I took like computer science, or I'm doing humanities, philosophy, and it's still very strong department as well. So, but if you know, like, okay, I'm very sure I want to do computer science, maybe look at like Carnegie Mellon, Caltech, something like that.
Stanford.
I would say
Facebook is out of Harvard.
I think Salesforce too. Salesforce CEO too.
I think
They're
like
both, yeah, Salesforce.
when I was looking at what colleges to apply for, so I applied to a lot of colleges. Hearing everyone else, I applied to maybe closer to 20 schools. I think similar, like I used like what I wanted to major in, or like what I was interested in as like starting points instead of looking at colleges. So I would like Google, what's a school that has a good science department? That doesn't necessarily mean like this school is like better than that school, and like this class is similar and that class and things like that. But maybe like this school might have more resources for you and more opportunities. For example, there's more money at that school, so then they have more research labs. More research labs means more opportunities for you to get a position in a research lab, to volunteer there while you're there, to learn more about like the hands-on thing. Something important for me was like location, geographically. It depends on like what you want. I knew I wanted to go to a school out of state. I didn't want to stay in Texas, and I wanted to come to California because I was very interested in being around Asian Americans and learning more about like Asian American history and just being around that culture. So that's why I made it a goal to probably come to school in California and apply to a lot of schools in California. Other things I looked at was like kind of like their cost, like public, private. Like majors about, like Bernard said, like Stanford, it's very flexible to change your major. So I applied to all my schools as bioengineering, and my first week of like college, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do bioengineering anymore. And I was lucky enough that Stanford, I wasn't officially declared as a freshman, and I could change my mind and choose a different major that I want. But at other schools, I might be like, no.
So it's okay to walk undeclared when you apply, right? Stanford.
I think it's,
I have a question for you. You're out-of-state student, right? Is the tuition fee the same as the in-state student?
So private schools, it's the same price for everyone, regardless of your residency.
Oh, okay.
But public schools, it depends strongly on your residency, and it's in-state is a lot cheaper than out-of-state, because I was looking at the out-of-state schools that I got into in California, and it was like, including financial aid and everything, I would have to pay like an extra like $30,000 to go to UC Berkeley versus like UT Austin. Per year.
Did you apply to any UC at all?
I did.
You did. What are the schools that you applied to?
So I also did a Quest Switch program. It's kind of like very, I would say very detailed and complicated like scholarship program to explain in like a short amount of time. But if you have time, you can look at the website. But they have like partner colleges that they specifically partner with for the scholarship program, and
At the time that you applied, did you declare
Now let's go into the student workshop.
I just did. The reality is like I do a lot of things in if you just do it'll show you can't let talk about it at all.
We had different essays that my oldest brother, because we use College Confidential. During a forum that we will ask all these questions about college, and we would get responses, and we would like read all these other essays that people like on the Ivies, and it was like a certain time. I'm wrong. Chris is like, oh, like, I don't know,
No, actually, I have a dorm life question for you.
yeah, he was like, he made it like,
How many dorm mates do you have?
so he spun it in a way that made it seem like super unique.
I only have one. he was talking about like this thing that he found out
in my
elementary school about like
it's like 3
multiplying double-digit numbers, like shortcuts to do that, and then it was like a pattern that he found, and he just talked about that. And for his essay, he had a table, which is not common. Like usually it's an essay, but he had like words and then a table that he drew because I think there's a character limit and then like instructions for how to carry out this thing, and then like it was like very unique. But things like that are like
I think traditionally like they would be made more.
They're not common. Like I don't know if I would recommend doing stuff like that, but like
different things. We did not get
it's
to choose the
possible.
remakes. I just wanted to.
I think examples of like out of the box things that people do, like
so you have
write sometimes people write poems in their essays, which is not common. I didn't do that.
I was hoping to apply for easy response.
But
I'm going to.
yeah, Safeway is definitely writing good.
You know, my parents are financially.
If you want to be risky, like I remember hearing something about like what's the something along those lines. Someone put like this and for like their essay.
I would definitely.
But it was like 500 word limit. I think one word I don't know if that works, but like
You have to like
it's just like thinking outside the box.
because of my
Cool, like I remember my older brother for like 5 years at the time. Most people put like 5 adjectives. He put like just make like what does that strike you as like why are manholes down? And then that's apparently like in the US that they ask like people that are applying to people like why are manholes down? Just I don't know. I'm like trying to apply for a job. But like that gets the center of personality.
One of the popular things to do, I guess, is getting a job. If you have a lot of time, you aren't taking any classes. Yeah, but in GU, it's
It really matters.
Let's go back to the parents' workshop.
I would say all these guys are finished 4 years. And then a lot of alumni from the Cambodian Student Association are doctors or working in tech. So they're obviously like very successful. So I presume that they finished in 4 years too.
I think that also might be something particular to Stanford. Maybe if you go to another school, it might be more difficult for you, and maybe the academic situation for you to graduate in 4 years. But just generally at Stanford itself, most people graduate in 4 years. It's definitely not uncommon to hear about someone that might take like an extra quarter to finish their degree or something like that. But it's definitely not like a bad thing.
A follow-on question to that is that at Stanford, just like another public university, are you pursuing or enrolling in your own classes, or they have like a predetermined list for you to take?
Yeah, so there are some areas that you need to fill. So this is specific to Stanford, first of all. So they might say you need to take 2 classes in the sciences, but you can choose math or physics, chemistry, or engineering, robotics, whatever you want to choose. And then, but if you go to other colleges, they might say like you have to take this specific course. But Stanford's very flexible what you can choose, and you can often find like philosophy of science maybe to count as certain things.
I think overall in the public university, and maybe among Cambodian, I'm not saying Cambodia is bad, but that's all I know. It's probably less than 50% can finish in the prescribed period of 4 years or baccalaureate. So the fact that you know 100% is finishing in a prescribed time, that's awesome.
I think statistics nowadays is 6 years to finish a 4-year college.
I mean, 6 years, 7 years, but the percentage that finish in 4 years, that work hard enough to finish in that prescribed time, I'm not asking any extra.
There's also like thing about the amount of resources we have. Stanford does a really good job to make sure that you're here, that they're going to help you.
Not all the college students have the mindset that hey, I'm here to work. I'm not here to play.
So you guarantee classes, whatever classes you register, you guarantee to get in. You don't have to worry about it.
Question?
It depends on the class. Yeah, like every school, certain classes have caps. So like there's a maximum number of students they can take, depending on like the subject, what class it is. Like maybe if it's like a lab class where you have to be in like a lab setting, there's only a certain number of space in the lab.
What is the ratio per class for, what is the number of students in the class?
That's gonna vary a lot, yeah. And they're
Average about.
well, it depends on what you're majoring in. You know, if you take a lot of big science courses, a lot of introductory classes are gonna be very large, like 100 or so students.
Not honestly in the theater, probably.
Yeah. In this brochure it says 4:1 student faculty ratio, but that's like an average. But I think, like Bernard said, like the introductory classes are like a lot of freshmen take. They're like bigger classes, maybe like 100, 150 people for like our chemistry classes. But like maybe as you get into a higher level, it's definitely a lot smaller sizes. Like I was going to take this class this quarter, and it was about to be 4 students.
Question for you. Just another statistic that I've heard about that it's about 50% of students going to college do not graduate. So what is the Stanford graduation rate?
It might be in the books.
I mean, everybody you know is actually graduate from Stanford? The one that went there? Would be higher? Would be higher?
Parent bomb, but I assume.
Well, because they have more resources?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think like it's definitely important to know that like Stanford, I feel, is like a very special exception when we talk about Stanford, the Stanford experience and higher education in general. Maybe at other schools, like we said, they don't have as much resources. They don't have the money that Stanford has to provide all of the resources that they do for students, like extracurricular opportunities, internship opportunities, tutoring, things like that, that are all necessary for students to excel in their college experience. So they may take longer. They may not be able to graduate because they don't have that support that they need. So I think, yeah.
You guys, so guarantee 4 year, most people when finish, they get the bachelor degree. But if you want to go further to get master degree, do you apply SLAN and then I get mine, or you have to get out first and then?
Okay, so specific to Stanford again.
Yeah,
Stanford has a thing called co-terminal degree program. Basically, it's depending 4 to 6 year or 5. I don't know. It's like, so you apply your junior year of your undergraduate, and you apply to the program you want to get a master's. So between the time that you get into the program from after junior year until usually people finish in 1 to 2 years, they end up graduating with a bachelor's and a graduate degree. So I have some friends that some people, they are so academically crazy enough to finish with a bachelor's and master's in 4 years. Some people might take up to 6 years, which is kind of like the usual 4 years bachelor's and 2 years master's kind of program. But Stanford does offer that.
So applying to the grad school, you have to have a certain GPA?
Yeah. It depends on the major, what master's program you apply for. They have certain different requirements, but it's very similar to as if you were applying as a new graduate student instead of being a current undergraduate. But not all schools offer like this culture.
Right. For sure, it's like certain like guarantee that people 80% or 90% get into a master program if you start with Stanford and apply that to a program student.
I don't know if there's like a guarantee. There's people that are rejected. It's the same as if you apply normally. It's just you get the advantage of maybe you finish all your undergraduate classes already in 3 years and you want to start early. Because going back to like Philip's question, whenever you declare a major, there's like a list of requirements of classes and options you need to take to fulfill that a major requirement. When you take all these classes throughout your 4 years, you won't be taking, every class you take won't be going towards like that major. You will have time to take other classes and things you want to take that maybe don't even count for anything for your degree, but you're just interested in.
So you went to Stanford as a transfer student or as a freshman? Freshman, right? So during your freshman year, are the students taking like general ed classes or lower divisions only, or how is that? Or they can mix it?
Yeah, they can take whatever they want. You have to finish the requirements in 4 years, but that doesn't mean you have to do it in your first year.
I think it's more common for like freshmen to take intro classes, just because upper division classes have prerequisites to take that class. You need to have the general chemistry in order to take organic chemistry because you need those skills to use in that class. But also depending on like what academic level you come in, what APs you have, you can depends on what like classes you start taking.
Are the courses offered on a quarterly basis or semester?
So it's so Stanford's broken up into three quarters, and yeah, yep, and
But it's still a 12 week long, right?
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
10 weeks. It's a little faster paced, but you can take more classes.
Yeah, it's a little different from like semester, which is I would say like 95% of schools in the U.S. So since we're on quarter, it's divided into 3 quarters: fall, winter, spring. And then if you take summer classes, there's a summer quarter, and each quarter is about 10 weeks long plus like a week of finals.
So it is quarter, just how many years?
Oh yes, yeah.
That's pretty aggressive.
So there's no summer break, huh?
No, there's summer break. Most people don't take summer quarter. It's if they want to take class.